having a capable co-pilot, something that can help take the menial tasks out of my professional life.
So how can technology bring together all of that data points?
AI can have anywhere from $2 to $5 trillion impact on growing global GDP. That's very exciting.
In this episode of The Futurist, we're going to look at a concept called decentralization. We'll also look at the future of the internet. Now, it's been about 4 or 5 decades since the internet came, and it's primarily remained the same. It's been centralized in many aspects, and while different people access computers from different places and the internet from different places, it's quite still not very decentralized. But now, new concepts are shaping what the future of internet looks like. And one of these is the self-writing internet. In this episode, we'll talk to some incredible people who are really innovating at the speed of light.
Internet, go right the way back to the 50s and 60s, and places like Bell Labs, where they were working on packet switching technology that could support a communication system that could survive a nuclear war. By 1983, a lot of these ideas had become very much more mature, and TCP/IP was released, and the modern internet was born. And as you know, it took off in the 1990s. So the technical reason why the decentralization of the internet is important is that it's incredibly resilient. Instead of our applications and services running big tech clouds using traditional IT, they might actually run on the public internet itself.
The self-writing internet could potentially be the future of how we interact with the world outside, right? Rather than going on a keyboard and a mouse and clicking and typing things, the way we code has already changed because of generative AI or how AI works and how it's able to bring things together. But now that democratization of that power and that ability is probably going to shape the future. How will that process be, and will it be as easy as anybody being able to use it? Will it use our voice? Will it use hand gestures? What do you see happening, in 20 years?
One of the great things about the self-writing internet is you'll describe what you want to the internet, to an AI built into the internet, and it will create what you describe, whether it's a website, web application, or internet service. It'll run on the internet computer or other world computer networks, and the data will belong to you. The underlying code will belong to you too, even though you may not edit it yourself. You're not a captive customer, and your data is also private.
Today, as a result of developments within the blockchain ecosystem and the decentralized ecosystem, a complete overhaul of the financial system is taking place. In fact, money is changing the way it was and what it meant. Today, we've heard about cryptocurrencies, but there's other concepts such as DeFi or decentralized finance. There's digital payments. There are stablecoins and other types of cryptocurrency. You've probably heard the word tokens, and everything is being tokenized. In this episode, we'll look at some of these concepts and try and understand what exactly is changing and why.
The idea of blockchains has been around for a very long time, but the first one that really gained meaningful traction is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, very simply, is just a way to transfer value back and forth. I think the most important thing about blockchains is that they create a permanent record that is decentralized and censorship resistant. Why is that important? A decentralized network is more resilient, more easily accessible on a global basis. To go through SWIFT, which is our international banking system, it takes many days to send money from here in the US to another country like Guatemala or Peru. Whereas with blockchain, you can do it instantaneously with guaranteed settlement. As an investor, we're focused on investing in businesses that are enabled by blockchain rails. And that's why I'm so excited about the intersection of AI and blockchain. Most of our AI development is in these large, centralized big tech companies, which makes sense, right? In order to innovate or create a new AI model, it requires a lot of energy, it requires a lot of resources, it requires a lot of talent. And that's really hard to coordinate unless you are a large tech company. What we're seeing is a lot of this open source talent that maybe wants to produce in an open source world feel like they have to go work for a big tech.
Small, micro and medium-sized enterprises are the backbone of most economies. They represent a big share of the GDP as well as of the workforce. However, despite being such a contributor to the economy of a country, MSMEs still face an enormous financing gap. They have difficulties accessing credit, getting loans. One of the main barriers for SMEs to access finance or formal finance through the formal commercial banks and financial system is due to the lack of data or verified data that can demonstrate that they are creditworthy. Because of this lack of data, demands of collateral are very high, interest rates are very high, and so it will be even more difficult for SMEs to be able to get funded and then also enter the formal economy. So how can technology bring together all of that data points to create an identity that is instantly verified? And for that, we rely on blockchain.
If you ask me a question, who gets to own the future? I honestly don't have the answer to it. First of all, the future is really dependent on the things we do today. What are the innovations that are changing the world? Whether it's in finance, in technology, in manufacturing, in one of the thousands of different industries that we have out there. The future undoubtedly, I believe, is dependent on innovative approaches to problem solving. Whether it's an inefficiency that needs to be taken care of, or it's access to something certain that is not available somewhere.
And I think the effect's going to be even bigger in 2025. And it's going to be compounded by the self-writing internet. We're hoping that 2025 sees growth in excess of 500%. And if we can keep that compounding, it's fairly obvious where we're going to end up in a few years. And that's what we're all focused on doing.
And I think artificial intelligence represents an opportunity for people to multiply their impact potentially thousandfold. It's not just the fact that this technology can reason and think and otherwise, it's also the fact that this technology can be deployed in a multitude of ways.
For me, one of the things I'm most excited about within AI is actually the ability to understand ourselves and the universe more quickly, asking the right questions, challenging our preconceived dogmas, stigmas, blind spots, and so on. So I think that productivity is a part of it, but it's actually just one part of it. I think there's a much larger space there.
Hype cycles are actually very healthy for the creation of a new form of technology. And you find this throughout history is that generally whenever a new technology is built, people get very excited about it because humans are naturally attracted to the latest and greatest of whatever is new and shiny. By throwing all this capital and energy into something, you actually probably overcapitalize and probably go too far. But that enables the infrastructure and the groundwork for future, more sustainable innovation using that technology.
The next 10 years are extremely crucial with AI because it's going to create a bigger gap between people, between the haves and the have-nots. Because what AI, right off the gates, what it's going to be really good at is automation. And it's going to be able to eliminate a lot of industry jobs because it can do it for cheaper and faster and more efficient. So of course, folks who are working in these blue-collar jobs likely will not have that same job in 10 years due to AI.
Right now, where we're seeing some of the most exciting use cases for AI is in just automating a lot of what we do every day. A lot of simple services such as call centers or basic coding work is being automated very quickly. And you can talk to some of the public companies and their reporting, you'll find that some people have said their developers are now 40% more efficient in pushing code because they're using Microsoft Copilot or something like that to really automate and make some of their processes that are very rote actually more efficient.
Eventually, it may actually pave the way for us to create a universal basic income where people don't need to work as hard. right? If you don't need to work this crazy 12-hour shift in the factory to actually, benefit to provide for your family. You may be able to pursue other passions while having a basic income to actually be able to do this. And this is all thanks to AI.
Artificial intelligence primarily has two elements to it. The first element is data, a lot of data. And without data, there really is no artificial intelligence because it's got nothing to work on. The second part of AI are models or algorithms, which is essentially the steps that this AI program, AI systems should take and work on this data. What is the mechanism? How should this data be interpreted? And what results are we looking at? So these two things are very essential for AI to work anywhere. Models are essentially the language that we tell AI to work as. It's us telling AI to create specific results. I guess the advantage also for anybody to lead data is to be able to create more efficient models and models that save time, that create better results, and that have no bugs or errors. I guess this is also the era of leadership by perfecting AI models.
A model is effectively an algorithm. This is just a very different form. Now, in effect, in the most simplest ways possible, a model is drawing a line of best fit. And you have the data points, and it's basically trying to draw a line, and then basically tries to estimate according to this line. In a sense, it's almost like a vehicle, almost like a car, right? The gas for this car is the data, and the engine is the model itself. And you kind of feed that engine with data coming in, and that engine becomes, according to the quality of the data, either the engine runs clean and the model is running fine, and you get good results, or the engine is going to run badly. And you're going to end up with a lot of exhaust fumes, and it's going to be a terrible thing to run.
Right now, everyone is really focused on creating generalized large language models, right? Large language models that can really be used to apply to anything. I think that's very exciting, and that's the foundational work that needs to be done. But eventually, I do see a world where there are more and more personalized AIs or niche-specific AIs that perhaps need less data, need less training, but are more surgical in approaching specific solutions and problems with solutions.
Artificial intelligence today is primarily centralized, and it's centralized within a certain few people or companies. AI isn't open. AI is not in the hands of the people, but it's pretty much under the control of select few. Now, should AI be decentralized, and should AI be open sourced, which means anybody can make changes to it or anybody can add to it? Can AI be decentralized? And what can we do? What are the benefits of decentralizing AI? It's an interesting concept and has a lot of potential.
What's happening at this point is that these massive companies are creating super powerful models that are able to do effectively magic to us. We don't really get to see what they're creating. We don't really get to see what the code is they've written. And that's resulted in some really interesting problems. But the open source movement actually says, no, these models should actually be open to the world. We should be able to see what these models have learned, what they've been built on, what has created them, what is the code that powers them in the first place. The closed source believe that it should be proprietary. It should be kept secret, and it should be kept in IP, and they should be able to benefit whoever's running that model, whoever's created that model. The open source community says, no, it's actually a very dangerous route, because you can end up with models that are, in a sense, unregulated.
One of the primary reasons why distributed systems and distributed compute and distributed AI are such exciting prospects, because you can harness so much opportunity, that this reservoir of latent compute and latent intelligence that sits in people and computers around the world, you can gather that, if you can incentivize people, you can gather all of that and direct it towards something. You can coordinate it towards some public good, towards some collective mission, and that's just not available. If everything just sits in one data center, you don't get to tap in to the same opportunity.
There are benefits to centralization. You have more coordination, things are a little bit faster, you don't need those orchestration technologies, but we've shown we can build phenomenal orchestration technologies as a civilization, really good at them. Kubernetes, cloud computers. Arguably, our political system is just a decentralization technology. Our assumption is people are just going to reach the logical conclusion that this is the way stuff goes.
Does it make sense to trust one company with all of the sensitive data of the world to create a deepfake model? How do we trust that company is regulated properly? Somebody will come up and say, okay, we'll trust it. Well, the government will actually is going to make sure it's regulated properly and everything. Okay, and that's totally fine. But the element of human corruption is still there. So the Bittensor project aims to take that away and say, okay, open source all of this. Right? Open source these models, open source these deepfake detections, and train them with people who are participating into it.
As we look at the impact of technology on our world and the impact of artificial intelligence on what we do, we need to understand from a broader perspective that are all of these things actually being implemented and who is doing it. In this series, I'm bringing to you Khalid Al-Hormail, who leads the BIA Group in the United Arab Emirates. Now, BIA Group is diversified into many different areas, from recycling to sustainability to technology. And it's really interesting to see what Khalid's thoughts are on where we are headed and how they're using technology to progress further and create results.
Sustainability is more important than ever today, and it's clear to everyone with all the challenges we see today and climate change, how important it is to tackle these challenges, especially in our region. Today, technology is making it easier to do. And I can give again the examples of what we've done in waste management, because when it comes to environmental challenges, one challenge that is always faced by many countries is landfills. Eliminating landfill has always been a goal that we had. And this is why we've worked on this for the last 15 years, and we've been able to achieve a high diversion rate away from landfill, starting with building 11 different facilities to treat different types of waste, where we reached about 76%. We said that's not enough. We want to eliminate the landfill. An important part of that also is awareness and education. We set up the BIA School Environment over 10 years ago. We built a curriculum that runs in all private and public schools to educate the kids from a young age how to segregate waste.
Let's talk about your approach and investments in technology, whether it's blockchain, it's AI, it's data centers. Yeah. Tell us, how is the region evolving when it comes to technology, and then help us understand what your focus.
We started investing in AI years ago, and today the rise of compute and AI development is growing exponentially. So it's going to be very disruptive. And we have to be ready. And it's sometimes you don't know where it will take you, but you have to invest, you have to learn, and you have to use this technology to move fast and catch up. One of our facilities for that segregates waste, we've installed a robot with visual aid to be able to, through machine learning, it now knows what's plastic, what's aluminum, what's paper, and is able to segregate waste using AI.
What viewers and industry leaders and entrepreneurs and startup founders and students, what technologies should they look at right now to, where should they get started?
Definitely AI. And because the disruption that's coming is going to be quite big. AI becomes smarter as we reach AGI. It's going to be moving quite fast. And the companies that have been able to embrace that technology and use that tool will be able to maintain their lead. Decentralization of processes, of access to data, traceability. So I think AI, blockchain, these are the two areas I would say that you need to spend more time to explore how it can impact your business and invest in it.
So there we go, friends. In this episode, we've seen a lot of different things, from a new concept of artificial intelligence, whether it's decentralized or open source, to the future of money and where are things really headed. AI is undoubtedly making a big change in the world and how we work and how we create systems and solutions. It's going to have a big impact on different industries because of the efficiency that it creates.
Like, tech generates value, tech generates economic growth, and investing in tech is important for your economy.
AI can have anywhere from $2 to $5 trillion impact on growing global GDP. That's very exciting. If the pie is that big, then it's certainly worth chasing with funding, with ideas to see how we can use AI to really revolutionize or modernize some of our systems and make them better, faster, more efficient, or more productive.
This self-writing internet paradigm will potentially turn 8 billion people around the world into developers and owners of sophisticated applications and services.
This glossy picture of us becoming creatures of leisure while the AI does the dishes it's a little bit fantastical. Maybe in a long-term future state that could be possible, but for me right now it's about having a capable co-pilot, something that can help take the menial tasks out of my professional life.
I'm really excited about the possibilities that technology is creating and the idea of decentralization being a very pivotal and core idea to make the world work differently when it comes to centralized control and decentralized control. These concepts are very interesting, and I highly encourage you to look at other works, other movies, documentaries, and read books about this topic. In fact, we directed a documentary called Blockchain City in 2019, which I highly recommend that you watch. It's available freely wherever you watch movies. With that, friends, I wish you all the best, and thank you again for watching this episode of The Futurist. My name is Ian Khan, and I am The Futurist.